Welcome to TRS Clips, the channel that we hope is like a brain workout for you. Yeah, I think I'm echoing a very common situation that happens to a lot of people, my age specifically, early 30s, where you begin seeing this aging parents problem. And then you kind of accept on a human and societal level that people in their 60s are now set in their ways, how they look at the world, how they look at lifestyle, etc. At least from my viewpoint, I think it's very difficult to change the way someone lives life and the way someone thinks once they've hit their 60s. But I would love for you to shatter this thought pattern in my head. Is there any way to change someone's mindset post age 50?
There's a beautiful thing with spirituality. It happens in phases of life. Early 20s, people probably don't give too much of focus to it. But as people age, they tend to naturally get more and more spiritual. Again, it's the whole thing of embracing lessons. Spirituality teaches people acceptance that, hey, things don't have to be my way. Maybe they were great when in my time, in my generation. But I have to keep an open mind of acceptance to what is happening around. I may not like it. It may be going against my value system or, the kind of perspective and mindset that my parents set in my mind. But you are absolutely right. There is a massive requirement for the generations, and I wouldn't say 60s. There are parents in their 35s and 40s trying to control their children and teens, and there are young parents in their late 29s and 30s trying to control their kids and teens as well. So it's always coming down to the baseline, wanting to be in control. Yes, they're looking out for you. They have the right to, say certain things, but they want to be in control all the time. It's also the same. I want to give a fair perspective. Take someone in their 20s. A lot of people in their 20s are also stuck in their mindsets. They're only conditioned by what they see on social media. They're only conditioned with one perspective. So that limits them from also seeing the world or people or behavior with a different purview. There's a lot that both generations can learn from each other. In fact, now we're at a stage where I say the generation above can learn so much from the generations, the Gen Zs, millennials, whatever those terms are. I don't like using terms because it puts people into a box. But there's so much that they can learn from the youth because the youth has so much more exposure. They have that ability to, think differently. So they have fantastic ideas. And I think both have to learn from one another. It should never be just using authority or I'm your elder. There should be respect. I'm a massive fan of respect, but openness to discuss, thrash out ideas and talk. There is so much that you can learn from the youth today, and there is so much that the youth can also learn from the generations above.
We draw out two columns, and could you list out things that the youth can learn from their parents' generation and vice versa?
Let's start from the youth. Okay? I always say, first, my message to the youth is learn from the mistakes that the generation above made. Like, don't become victims and consumers of, like the generations above have made all the junk that y'all are eating today and getting sick on. They've developed all the latest new drugs, alcohol, all of those things that are wrecking up society. Who invented social media and everything else, right? The generations above. My point is, it's great. It's also destroying this generation. It's bringing people to suicidal thoughts, helplessness, hopelessness. Again, figure out who built that for you. The generations above. Okay, but we can be those game changers right now. I would love the youth to learn from the mistakes that the generations above have learned. I would also like the youth to look at, okay, I know it has to be a two-way process, but respect is a beautiful thing. Okay, and I understand sometimes you'll find it difficult to give respect to elders because they disrespect you. So I completely understand where it is. But at the end of the day, I think respect is such a beautiful thing, not just respect of other people, but respect of ourselves. So when we feel disrespected in life, we go and abuse ourselves with drugs, alcohol, over-socializing, etc. It's like a self-abuse that comes because we don't respect ourselves. But when we respect ourselves, we learn to, we have that certain power that, hey, there's a line I'll draw. I'm not going to go completely out of track. I think the youth can also learn a lot from the generations above in terms of what really went into building powerful empires, etc., etc. But don't do it at the cost of your health. The generations above built a ton of money that the generations below now have, but they lost their health. They lost their peace. They didn't spend time with their families. They didn't spend time with their kids growing up. So it's really about the youth looking at this like a mirror. What are some of the things that the generation above really did well that we can learn from? And what are some things that we should not learn? We should change that. You see, every generation will have a change. Like this generation has a lot more wealth than the previous generations. But what I foresee, this generation will have a lot more cognitive and mental problems. They'll have everything in the world.
You're talking about the current young people?
The young people. Because they have a lot more. Many of them don't really have to work too hard like the generations above. A lot of it is handed down. But they'll have other problems that the generation on the top didn't have. They'll have social media, cognitive decline. They'll have social anxiety because they're all connected with the virtual world rather than real people. So all I'm saying is there's no one right or wrong. Let's learn. I want the youth to look at the generation above. What was good? What can I learn from that? What mistakes can I avoid?
Okay. There's nothing that I can ask you on a podcast that's not already been asked you with respect to physical health.
Right.
Like there's nothing more you can say. And this is what we were talking about before the camera started rolling, that what's actually needed are the basic boring things that everyone knows about. Exercise, sleep, clean food, etc. I'm sure even you're bored of like saying this again and again.
I'm bored of people not taking action. I can go on speaking about it for months and years, but I get bored when people don't take action. Everyone knows what they have to do. You made changes. You got the foundations in place. You got your yoga going, your strength training. You made changes in your diet. You just put in the foundations. You've not. And I'll tell you, even though he knows me, he can WhatsApp me anytime. He's never come for complicated stuff that, hey, can I do this? Can I do this? You've just got the basics in, and the basics have worked. So it comes down to discipline and consistency.
Yeah. There's a narrative about the world of anime and why Gen Zs are drawn to anime more than they're drawn to like Hollywood or Bollywood films.
Yeah.
And one of the core themes in anime is probably the most important life skill in my opinion, which is overcoming boredom and overcoming difficulty.
Yeah.
This ability to overcome what looks boring and this ability to overcome what looks difficult.
Yeah.
I think that that's the most important skill in life. And that's what allows you to do the basics consistently, even through the bad phases. And I went through like the worst year of my life. But what got me through it was just doing the boring things again and again.
Consistency.
Yeah. There were so many yoga sessions and exercise sessions where I was so sad. I was probably crying during the yoga sessions. But I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And that kind of got me out. It healed something on a physical level, which I'm sure created much deeper forms of healing on an internal level. And my big hope is that people see this journey and understand that once again, it was all the boring physical fitness stuff that pulled me out.
Yeah, it is. It's always going to be consistency, even in our most complicated medical conditions. It is the consistency of the patient doing those same things, whether they like it or not. They just take the emotion away and say, hey, I got to do this, like brushing my teeth. Like, we never think, is it boring? Is it not? It's actually really boring. Think every morning we get up, but we don't think about it because it's in our subconscious mind. Because we got there through repetition.
Thank you for watching the clip, दोस्तों. मेरा होप ये है कि आप हर हफ्ते इसी चैनल पर लौट आओ ताकि जितने भी पॉडकास्ट हम अपलोड कर रहे हैं ना, उनका सार आपको इस चैनल पर मिले.